Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard and David Anderson with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. We're going to take 20 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing business content from accomplished leaders to bring you value, to scale your business, and to better yourself personally. And really hopefully you enjoyed. Cheers, everyone. Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I'm super excited today to be joined by John Morley. John, thank you for joining me on the show today.
It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Robert.
So tell me a little bit about you and your background and why you're sitting across from me today.
Well, I think it's because of my attitude and my passion. And I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm an engineer, a marketing specialist. I'm a national talk show host. I'm also president of my 501c3 organization, and I'm also a first responder. And so I guess the most important thing is, when you think about a goal, a lot of people in this world, want to achieve things. I think that's great. But the challenge is they don't know exactly what they want. They want something better, but they haven't gotten clear in their life into what they want. And that's something I continue to do every day, is to become clear on my vision and to just keep working on things so the universe will deliver it to me.
No, that's awesome. And I'm a firm believer in that as well. But, the typical person I come across on a daily basis, they're head down, grinding in their, wherever they're working, busy, then rushing home, dealing with all their family stuff. And a lot of time people don't necessarily have that either inspiration or the time to really think through where they're going. I talk about, being a roadmap. I have, the Ironman mindset. I have the roadmap where people are going, but it's usually a big process and how people get there. So to tell me about your process and how you get people on that journey.
Okay, so the first thing I should tell you is how I got started. I'll give a quick synopsis on it, but I could spend days on that. So when I was in college, I started one of my companies for doing IT support called JCM & Son in college. And we did computer repair for $5 on the phone and $10 in person. Now, that wasn't per hour, ladies and gentlemen. That was just to come out and fix. I was getting experience. I already knew the technology, but I wanted to get used to working with people. Graduated college, and my friends kept saying, well, when are you coming to paint my house? Excuse me? Well, when are you coming to paint my house? Or my wife's looking for you to repaint our bathroom. Or we need you to come and paint our basement. What do you mean paint? Well, you're JCM & Son, right? Yes. Well, you're a paint company. No, we're not. So I got tired of hearing this. So I decided one weekend to come up with the name JMOR Connection and get a more corporate name, because I said we obviously weren't going to go anywhere in business if we didn't believe that we had a name that was worthy. That was the first thing. When I was in college, I was head of, let's say, program council, and I handled the money. I wrote the checks. I was also the person that you'd come to if you needed more money in student association. So I was a good guy to know. And I was the one that would give you your money. I was the guy that take your money away if I thought that you weren't using it appropriately. And so I remember them saying to me, John, could you stay this weekend? Our school was like a suitcase school. And they said to me, well, you need to pay this guy $40,000. I said, $40,000? Yeah, it's 2 checks, 20 at the beginning and 20 at the end. And I said, what does this guy do? Does he make gold? Is he a doctor? Like, what does he do? Oh, he's a great entertainer. You'll love him. Okay, so I decided to do some research because, I know they approved the money, but I wanted to know, what was I getting involved in? And so I did some research on the guest. I'm not going to give his name. And at the time, he was nationally known. And I said, oh, I get the idea of this, what this guy, he's going to do. I said, well, he's not doing this on my watch. He was a stage hypnotist. And when I saw what he did and how he embarrassed people, I cut him right at the pass. When I came in, I said, Mr. Such and Such, you don't know me. I'm nobody. I'm going to go ahead and give you your first check for $20,000. And this check will cash, providing that you don't embarrass me or my staff on stage. You can embarrass other people from the audience, but not me or not my staff or administration. If you do, this check will bounce so high, you won't even be able to see it. And the second check, it won't even be able to enter the bank. And not only that, if you don't care about the money, I will make sure that all our friends from all the different networks of schools, because we know that the school network that you travel to, they're magically going to cancel their bookings with you, and you will have no tour after tomorrow. Well, he kind of went into himself and he didn't say much. I said, well, you better get started. The show's supposed to start in a few minutes. Okay. And he got very like, he was a little nervous. So now he's on stage. Remember, he's a hypnotist, so he's supposed to be psyching me out. Now I just psyched him out. And I wanted to let him know where I stood. And I said, do we understand each other? He says, perfectly. I said, well, great. Have a good show. I'm looking forward to it. Got in my chair, watched him embarrass all these other people. At the end of the show, I came back to him. I said, you know, sir, I really enjoyed your show, a very professional show. And as promised, here's the second check. I said, you know, I might even recommend you to the administration. So we might bring you back for another show. And so that got me entwined with the concept of the brain, the mind. Now, I was about to graduate the next year. I hadn't learned a lot about the mind. They didn't teach that in school, even though I was going for engineering. They taught about the other side, but they didn't talk about the creative side, the one that lets you manifest goals. I had took the Silva method, but it didn't go anywhere for me the first time. And you can't learn about the brain in 20 minutes. You have to make it a continual journey. And so I graduated. And the first thing I wanted after I had made the decision, my dad said, you could go work for a company or you could start your own company. I decided to start my own company. There was a benefit too. If I started my own company, I actually got a month off for vacation and a little more money. If I worked for a company, I only got a little money and I got 1 week of vacation. So the second one actually motivated me a lot more, but I knew that's what I wanted. And so the one thing I wanted when I got out of school, I was driving a Cherokee, white Cherokee limited Jeep. And I love driving it, but I really wanted something a little more luxurious. At that time, it happened to be an MDX, an Acura MDX. And I said, I really like this car. And I wanted this car because it had the best navigation in the world, in the market. And I always got lost. So I said to myself, how do I get that car? It's way out of my price range. It's not even close to what I could afford. And so I said, okay, I got to start using some of these techniques. I got certified in neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis. And I said, well, I'm going to start using some of these techniques I was taught to help me manifest. Let's try them out. And so I went to the dealership. Kid coming out of college, they usually don't give you too much respect.
Right.
And I wanted to drive the car, but I wanted to use the nav. He says, well, we don't do that here. I said, okay. I said, well, you can't do that. I'll go to another dealership. Well, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm going to buy a car, but if I can't use the nav, then. And so I'm walking out and the sales manager stops me. He says, what's the matter? I said, well, the guy over here says you don't do demos on the nav. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, he said, we can't hook up. Of course we do demos. What's he talking about? Hold on. Hang on a seat. You want some water? You want coffee? I don't want anything. I'm good. We'll take care. Hold on. Sorry, Mr. Morley. Hold on one second. He starts treating me very nicely, different than this other kid that's a few years older than me on the floor, who you know is going to be replaced in 6 months anyway. Right. He's trying to make a sales quota. Yeah. And so they let me take the drive. They let me drive it with the nav. I took pictures of it. I really embraced myself in the feeling of the car. Now, for those of you that don't know, in order to manifest something in life, you can't do it with just the brain. You could try, but it's not going to work. The language of manifestation is not just thoughts, it's feelings. You have to connect the heart and the brain together to feel things. So I took a picture of the car, I put on my screensaver, I put on my phone, and not only did I do that, but every night I sat in my favorite chair, closed my eyes, I pushed that button with my right foot on the brake. I felt the car starting. I grabbed the steering wheel. I could feel the leather against my back. I just felt so confident in that car. And I drove it for 10 or 15 minutes, taking a nice little drive every night. And in 6 months, Robert, that car was in my driveway. Mm. So the first thing I want to share with your viewers is that if you want to get something, you're never going to get it by just thinking about it. Now, that's the start. Is a start because we change our words, we change our thoughts, we change our thoughts, we change our mind, and that it will in fact improve the quality of our life. And that is what we want for everyone here today. That's why we're here. I'm here for one main reason. That's to become a better version of myself and help everyone else become better versions of themselves. Now, I can't make you have the choice to want to get better. You have to decide that in your life. You have to decide you want more, that you're worth more. But if you don't, all the tools and the techniques I share with you are never going to go anywhere. So you have to make that first choice right now, or everything I say is going to mean nothing. It's going to just bounce off like a springboard. Thus, you have to realize that when you make that choice and you become committed and passionate, and you learn the language of the universe and you manifest something from your heart and you feel it, the dopamine gets activated in your brain, a lot more than just your brain. And now you start to take those actions that are inspired based on certain thoughts that you get. It doesn't just happen magically. You see, the brain and the heart cause actions to be taken. It's not like, oh, I just think and woo woo, it just shows up. That might seem how the car happened, but there were steps I took behind the scenes, which I didn't even know I was doing. And so that's how it works. The feeling is the driver. Henry Ford said it best, Robert. If you believe you can do something, you're right. And if you believe you can't, you're also right. So we need to start believing. If you look at my hat, you can never achieve a blessed thing unless you believe.
No, I agree, 100%. So, yeah, I'm thinking about applying this to the business side of things. When you start talking about, the visualization, the heart, thinking about things, and somebody's a current business owner, are they thinking about, looking, whatever, 3, 5, 10 years out, doubling of the employees, bigger office, or are they visualizing some of the benefits that come from running a bigger company, for example, like a bigger house, maybe more vacation time? How does that play, and what do you
So I think the first
recommend?
thing we have to do to answer that question, which is an excellent question, by the way, we have to first understand the difference between a business owner, an entrepreneur, and a serial entrepreneur. I first want to tell you, being a serial entrepreneur for several years, I'm not wanted in any states except for my good things. I'm friends with a lot of cops and first responders, so that's not anything bad. I won't be written up for anything that I've done that's going to be bad. A business owner is where we all start, and there's nothing wrong with being a business owner. I was a business owner at the very beginning. All the people watching are either business owners or if they've taken the next step. So what's the next step between a business owner? A business owner does things because they need to understand the business. How does it function? How does it work? They're not so keen in what's making it feel good for them. They're just looking at the dollars and the cents. They're looking at what their accountant's telling them. They're looking at what history books are telling them. They're looking what marketing agencies are telling them. That's what a business owner does. And that's how they operate from 2 to 5 years, maybe more. Some people never graduate that step. What I want to tell you is, as a business owner, you will make money and you'll take a check home, but it's not going to be anywhere near as big as the check you'll get when you become an entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur is somebody who runs the business from their heart, with passion, with desire. And then they make those decisions. I always said, when you make a decision, you can't base your decision when it comes to money strictly about your emotions. So there's a balance there of dichotomy. You have to do certain things, but you have to realize that there's a balance. So when you have a feeling to do something in business, that's great. But when it's something about, well, should I spend $1 million? You got to look at logic for that. But the feeling is going to drive you to get those insights. So you asked a good question. How does somebody take this business as a 1 or 2 person landscape shop and grow it to 10 or 12 people? Well, first of all, we know that cutting lawns is only a certain time of the year unless you're in Florida, right? So you have to become creative, or what do? Flip burgers the rest of the year? No, you have to get creative with what your business does, right? So do you do snow shoveling? Do you do snow removal? Do you do Christmas tree or holiday decorations? What do you do? Do you help put in decks? Are you handy when it comes to carpentry work? Or are you that kind of a company? So I think the question comes as a business owner. They started with maybe them and their significant other, their wife, partner, what have you, and maybe they have no employees, or maybe they have 1 employee, and they want to take that. And this is very apropos to landscaping, and I'm also going to say it's similar to the pool industry, because the pool industry is a very lonely industry, like the landscape industry. You start in the beginning. Nobody ever wants to help you. Anything that you do, and I'm sure all of your audience will relate to this, no one will ever want to help you when the train is safely in the station or when the plane is on the runway. But they will risk their lives when that train is going 80 miles an hour out of the station, or that plane is 1,000 miles an hour and you're taking off like a jet. They all want to jump on board, but they don't want to even come close to you when you haven't made that connection. I want to say when you haven't become an entrepreneur. So nobody really wants to really jump with you big time until you become the entrepreneur, because the passion radiates from you and the energy is around you and you're positive. So how do you take the step from being a business owner to an entrepreneur? First thing you have to do is you have to become passionate. Why did you start a landscape business? Why did you start a pool business? Well, why did I start a tech business? I started a tech business because I knew there were people getting ripped off. And it was one of my parents' businesses. They owned a dry clean plant. I wrote the software for them in high school. And I remember being in college, and I sent my dad to get a battery for a computer that I designed. It was a 486DX33, which was the server running at that time 28088 touchscreen Windows NT 4.0 machine. So that'll take us back a while. But it was a touchscreen application for a dry cleans. And I sent them to the store to go get a battery. I said, Dad, it's going to cost you maybe, I don't know, $125. They're going to rip you off. I said, it's going to be like, I don't know, $25 for the battery. It's not even worth $2. And they're going to probably charge you $100 for the time for 2 hours, which isn't even worth it. But just pay it and the tax and you'll be good. He goes there and they want to do an analysis fee. Fine, $75. They do analysis. They tell him in a day or two, Mr. Morley, it's going to be $1,800. Calls me back and I said, John, $1,800. So wait a minute. I said, just hang on a minute. I'll be home this Friday. I'll deal with it. Fast tracked. I got there. I told him I was not knowledgeable computers. I'm studying to become somebody who's going to be learning about hospitality and business management. I don't know the first thing I even had to turn it on, let alone how to change a battery. So I come there and I have this battery. And I said, my friend's in computers. He knows a little bit about it. He gave me this little, I don't know, looks like a coin cell thing. You might know better than I do. He says we probably could find a spot in the computer and replace this thing, whatever it is. He goes, oh, okay, we have to get a screwdriver, fast track. We changed the battery, turned it back on, it booted up. He goes, so I have to get manager. Manager goes, okay, it'll be $1,800 plus taxes. $1,800. Well, we just changed the battery. I said, now I'm going to be honest with you. I'm actually not studying for business management or hospitality. I'm studying to become an engineer. And I built this computer. Could you do me a favor? Could you read me the last 4 digits of the serial number? And they start reading it to me. JZX4T. Yeah, how'd you do that? Well, I'm not a magician, but I actually took a picture of that serial number on the motherboard before I gave it to you guys. Oh, I see. So you're going to give my father back his $75. We're not going to pay you a darn thing. Or I'm going to file this with Channel 4, ABC, Fox on your side. And this will be the greatest story ever. And if you continue to operate your business like this, I guarantee you in a year, you'll be out of business. You know what happened in 6 months? They went bankrupt. You remember CompUSA? They're out of business.
Yep.
Okay. So my passion was I knew that I was able to help my father. All the people wanted that help. There's always going to be competition. So if you have a passion, whether it's to cut lawns, it's to help people, it's to beautify their property. But what's your passion? Why are you different than Joe's landscaper down the street? I don't know. What do you do different? Is it the personalized service? And we could do a whole thing on that. I also went to Disney Institute. But when you are passionate about something, the creativity in your brain and your body starts to flow, and you'll get those inspired actions that you wouldn't get if you were a business owner. So you're saying to me, John, I can't get those thoughts. It's because you haven't been working, okay, on your business. You've been working too much in your business. You need to step back a little bit. Now, I know that's hard for some people, and they can't do it in the first few years. But when you start becoming an entrepreneur, you do that. You make choices. Now you're able to say, well, if I got another truck and I'm able to get that truck going and this truck going, I could actually hire 2 more people and I could cut twice as many lawns. Then I could do 3, and then I could eventually grow and I could do a 4th truck. And you could keep going and you have your surveys and you could follow up with people. You say, hey, when you did the lawn or the pool, was everything to your liking? Yes, it was great. Was there any other questions I can answer for you? No, listen, we work on referral. I'm sure you know a couple friends, and I'm sure you also know that in the pool industry or in the landscape industry, there's a lot of fly-by-night companies. We're not one of them. We're new, but you can see we're passionate about helping our clients get the service that they deserve and more than they expect. So now, would you be happy to refer me a few people? And they would probably say yes.
Yeah. So I know we've only got a few minutes left, but
Sure.
I wanted to touch on then jumping from being an entrepreneur to a serial entrepreneur, and then
Sure.
from there, tell me
I'll
a little
answer
bit
that
about
quickly.
your
So to
company.
be an entrepreneur to serial entrepreneur, this happened to me. I had one of my businesses, 35 years young, this coming this year. And when I got out of college, even before that, I hired one of the largest marketing advertising companies in Manhattan. I won't give their name out of respect. Unfortunately, they're still in business. They subbed all their stuff out. They did a horrible job. And you know you're working with the wrong company when they take you to breakfast, lunch, or dinner based on the deposit you give them, the amount of money. And so I decided 11 years ago, I need to fire these people. But how? I don't know printing. People keep saying, John, you're never going to be a printer. You're never going to be an advertiser. You're never going to be a this. You're never going to be that. I spoke for Harvard. I spoke for Yale. I've done keynotes, Y2K, minor, major inconveniences. I've done all these things, but I never was a marketer and advertiser. Now, I knew I wasn't going to be a graphic design person. Didn't want to do that. But I needed to learn enough about the printing industry and get some footing into what design was, so I could be more discriminate with the staff I hire and knew the kind of product and services. But I knew one thing: I wanted to be a one-stop in-house shop. I didn't want to send anything outside. And so 11 years ago, I called Xerox. We're already a client of them. I said, how do we become a mom and pop print shop? And they said, it's real simple, 150. I said, I'll give you the $150 right now. No, sir, 150,000. Oh, I go to my bank. Usually your bank says no. Well, my bank said yes. I said, now what do I do? My bank said yes. They're supposed to say no, but they said yes. So they gave me 150, but I did my first rule of being an entrepreneur. I told them I only got 130. I went back to Xerox. I said, guys, I am embarrassed to tell you this. I got accepted and approved, but because of my credit, they only gave me 130,000. I am so sorry I don't have the full amount of money. Whatever I owe you for the lunch or the dinner, I'm happy to reimburse you. Now, I knew what I was doing. They magically told me to sit down, relax, have a cup of coffee, goes into the sales office, runs out. I knew there was tons of profit in these machines. He said, John, you're in luck. I said, I'm short $20,000. Yeah, but what you don't understand is that just yesterday, the manufacturer launched a $20,000 rebate on any production machine, yours or higher. And so it comes with 40 hours of training and a $20,000 rebate. I said, wow. I said, I guess I'm all set. What about the tax? It's all included. Said, wow. So they signed me up, took my training. A few weeks later, I knocked on Greg's door, went through all the plethoras. I talked to them and I said, thank you. We had a great run and we're done. After I told that to a few people, and one gentleman said, John, we spent all night working on a new multi-billion-dollar plan that's going to take you into the new millennium and make you so much money. Would you like to see it? You know what I said to him? No. He says, no. So we had a great run, Charlie. Thank you. And we're done. And they didn't get it. So I said, let me be a little more blunt. You guys are fired. Your boss is fired. You're fired. You're fired. The team's fired. The whole company's fired. What are you doing? Fast forward, I started my own company. And so for the first 2 years, I failed miserably. So the example I give of being a serial entrepreneur is I saw a problem. And if you're not part of the solution, you are the problem. And so I started this company, a full print production, graphic media, digital design, and video studio, where I've done video production for years. And I focus it around what I'm passionate about. And because I was able to control quality and do something that I was doing well, people started to catch on to me. They loved what I was doing. And so a serial entrepreneur looks for ways to solve problems by starting another business. That's usually what they do. You could start another unrelated business, but there wouldn't be a benefit. So if you're in the landscaping business and now you suddenly want to start a holiday Christmas consulting business, even though it's a different division, that's what a serial entrepreneur does. Or maybe the landscaper partners and notices that hey, we're doing so great, but you know what the big problem is? We're seeing this big influx of sprinkler business, and these trucks are so busy. Yeah, we're going to we're going to become a company that starts a sprinkler irrigation company, and that's how it happens. And one feeds each other. He feeds each other.
Yep, I like it. So tell me, John, how do people get in touch with you if you want to?
So the easiest thing they could do is they could scan my QR code, but they may not be able to do that, obviously, for the camera. But you can go to a website. If you see this word, believe and achieve, Claude Bristol Miles said it first very well, that the magic of believing is what will let you achieve. If you don't believe anything, you won't achieve. So go to Believe Me, Achieve. That's BELIEVE, me, MEACHIEVE.com. And you'll see hundreds of hours of video that I produce, a science channel, a motivational channel, JMOR Tech Talk show, and lots of other great content that will literally inspire you to become a better version of yourself.
Cool. Thank you, John.
Thank you,
Really
Robert.
appreciate your time today. I'm sure the listeners got a lot from that, some good takeaways, and hopefully they'll go out and visit your website. So, John, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert. It's a pleasure.
Hopefully that was pure dead brilliant for you today, and you got some great takeaways for your business or for your personal life. This is Robert Clinkenbeard along with David Edmondson. I would love to get you and your friends to join us on your journey. If you have any ideas for future speakers, or if you just want to pass this on to friends, family, other business colleagues to sign up and subscribe, that would be awesome. Anyway, thanks everyone, and have a great 2022. Cheers.